Hello and welcome to the Board of Selectmen's meeting for Monday, August 31st at 5:30 PM. If you would please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. Mr. Clerk, would you just take us through the agenda, please?
Absolutely. 5:30, we have an appointment with Fire Chief Tim Herron to discuss the purchase of an ambulance using the CARES Act funds. 5:35, contract signing with Deputy Police Chief Mike Jenkins. And at 5:40, we have a continued public hearing regarding the poll on, help me out here, Tower Hill? Tower Hill. We have about 6 action items as well.
Great, thank you very much.
7.
All right. Chief,
7, sorry. We have 7 action items.
would you like to come up?
Sure. I just, no open forum?
What's that?
No open forum?
Oh, I thought,
Later.
open forum.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll do it after the
I appreciate it, because
contract.
time
Thank
crunch,
you.
yeah.
We want you out of here.
Yeah.
We'll do open forum after the poll hearing.
We could talk later.
Okay.
Well, good evening, thank you for having me. I'm coming today with a request to look into purchasing a new ambulance using the CARES Act money. Under some guidelines that I have from the federal government, mainly it says non-exclusive examples of eligible expenditures. It says eligible expenditures include but are not limited to payment for, and one of them says emergency medical response expenses, including emergency medical transportation related to COVID-19. I take that as that's vehicles. I know there's a couple of towns in Plymouth County that have already purchased some vehicles through the CARES Act, Hanover being one of them. Kingston is pursuing it as we speak, and so is Whitman. The ambulance that I was going to replace in 2 years anyways. I have 2 price quotes. One is for $339,718. That's bumper to bumper with everything included. Another one for $296,574, and that's if I swap out the stretcher system that we currently have, and the ambulance would be replaced and be put in a new one, which is probably where I'm going to go with it. To be open and totally honest, ambulance revenue is not as high as it should be this year. And it all started pretty much back in February when COVID kind of hit. So from January 1st to August the 2019, we brought in about just under $750,000 in revenue. Same period this year, we're at $528,000, which is a difference of just over $220,000 that we're not bringing in. And there was a 3-month span where people just didn't call an ambulance. They were locked up at home and pretty much told to avoid hospitals at all costs, which was wrong, but it is what it is. I anticipate these numbers will turn around again as the virus curtails, or we have a vaccine, or maybe we'll always have this virus. I really don't know. I don't know if it's going to become the seasonal flu, but it is what it is. But I know that this is not sustainable for human life, so to say. If people were calling the ambulance, we were doing 149 transports July of 2019, and this year we only did 98. What happened to those other 51 people? Something's up, and it's all directly related to, I think a lot of it's working from home. So I just want to put it out there that the revenue stream that we rely upon for ambulances isn't there right now. I hope that it will be in the future. I know the town of Whitman went through a spell as well. They're actually starting to get back up to the same level they were at prior. They use the same billing company we did, that we do now. Worst case scenario, if the Massachusetts Department of Revenue says that this is not a covered expense and we have to repay that, I anticipate wouldn't happen for a year or two. Would that be right, Brian? After we're audited or whatever? However, the document that I have is from the federal government, not from the state of Massachusetts, so there's going to be a little bit of a contest there to say who's right. I just want to put it out, let the board discuss it, and decide whether you want me to pursue or not. If you do, then obviously I still have to go through finance and capital, but there's an opportunity here for the town to save potentially $330,000 of using CARES Act money.
The risk being that,
The risk being that if we were audited and they said, so that's where I'm a little confused at, because the federal guidelines, it says you can do it. Massachusetts Department of Revenue, I'm understanding, is saying you can't do it. But the Massachusetts Department of Revenue didn't create the CARES Act. And I think they're also upset because Plymouth County kept their $90 million and sent it out to the towns. So there's a little bit of a rub there. Whatever, it's over my pay grade. All I know is what the federal law says, or the federal, guidelines say, and it's up to you to decide if we should pursue it or not. I'm not concerned that in the future, if they say you have to repay it, that we're not gonna be able to repay it. We will. It is what it is. But I can't be the only one solely to go with egg on my face saying, well, we tried, but we failed. But I just wanted to put that out to the board.
Just a quick question, Chief. On the other 4 towns, has any of them received reimbursement yet from Plymouth County?
They have not. The one that was closest was Kingston, and I spoke with the
Hanover.
chief today.
For the ambulance, nobody, but Hanover has received reimbursement for vehicles.
So Hanover's got from Plymouth County. So Kingston's next on the list. So their town accountant, Kingston, is putting in to the county. He has a check in hand from the town for the ambulance that they're gonna get reimbursed to the county. I just emailed via an email back and forth earlier, within probably an hour and a half, that their town accountant is moving forward with that, and we'll be doing the same thing. So it's not like we're gonna be the only town out there. And honestly, hopefully, every town jumps on board and does the same exact thing. Saves the taxpayers $300,000, and you're gonna gig 28 towns? How do you do that? I don't know.
I think one of the things that's frustrating about this money is that we can't use it for anything that, is already budgeted. Well, you could, or save it, and put it into stabilization and use it for things down the road, so.
The problem is it's not offsetting lost revenues, which the town has substantial dollars in lost revenues.
That's what I meant, but
And-
you said it better.
Yeah, that's what bothers me.
This is what
I
bothers
have
me. This is why I think using it for the ambulance is extraordinarily smart, because we have lost revenue.
It does replace those
And it's a
lost revenues.
justifiable expense under the CARES Act. And just to make sure, I've asked for, in writing, an opinion from town council. And I've sent him over the documentation that the chief has given me. And I think we're on reasonably solid ground, but hey, there is a small risk, but it's worth taking.
I think it's a very small risk. Again, just because of the figures you gave us, 750,000, 528,000 this year. I mean, that in its own, that's the offset. I mean, I can't see any reason why CARES Act, that this is what it's for, lost revenue, and this is very obvious.
So it's too bad it wasn't for lost revenue, because we're short 220.
Have you seen a bump in the last, month or two from where you were, say, the previous few months? No, it's stayed steady.
So January we're at 88,000, February we're at 80,000, March we're at 82,000, and then at April, 68, 56, 54, 42, now we're at 55, so it's starting to climb back up again.
So you have seen some.
It's always gonna be about 3 months behind too when it comes to billings.
Is this a replacement too, Tim? Did you say that?
Replacement of, it would be replace A1, would be my oldest one, which actually was my COVID ambulance during when the heat of the pandemic in town. I designated one ambulance that would deal with COVID. That way there, if it would go out, it would do the call, it would come back, it'd be thoroughly cleaned and ready for the next call. And I used that because it was my oldest ambulance.
What was the
Get this-
timing for something like this? Timing to bring an
It
ambulance?
says
in?
120 to 150 calendar days
Okay.
after receipt of chassis, as long as the chassis is available.
Okay. Anything else?
No.
Just a quick question. Where this is coming through the CARES Act, do they have restrictions, like this can only be used for COVID type deal? And how would you know that when you're leaving the house, whether it's COVID or not?
So I can tell you what my policy was back in the height of the pandemic was, an ambulance would respond to a call. If they suspected COVID, they would call back and one member would come up with the COVID ambulance and that ambulance would transport.
Okay,
It was just to keep one ambulance that was always
right,
kind of COVID-related.
okay,
Many towns in the area did the same. Just
okay.
didn't make sense potentially contaminating 3 different ambulances.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks, Chief.
We need a motion on that, Brian?
I don't. I just want to make sure it's on the board's record that we talked about it, because, you know, I think that if I'm in this canoe and it tips over, I'd like to have a little company.
No, you
Not
and the
gonna
chief are on
happen.
your own.
I think it's a great idea let's make sure we understand. Tim had this great idea, and it's gonna be a great idea, and we'll put his picture on the side of the ambulance, but if we have to
It
pay it
worked.
back later, it's Tim's idea.
And it's on
Yours goes up.
I can dedicate to Brian Noble.
There you go.
No.
All right,
Last year, Miss Lee.
anything else on this, Chief?
All done.
All right, let's call up our newly sworn-in deputy chief.
Thank you.
And the chief.
I just want to say that I've worked with Mike as a patrolman, as a detective, as a sergeant, and I couldn't have picked a more dedicated or passionate person about this job. So just want to congratulate my deputy chief. Yeah, you've earned it. Thank you.
I
Thanks.
just want to thank the board and everybody else as well, and especially today for letting us get sworn in outside and everything was
Don't
great.
go away. While we have them here, can you tell us a little bit about what you and the chief did today?
Today
It was a big day.
was a great day.
The legal portion, not the other.
Well, our day actually began, it was great that the East Bridgewater Fire Department accepted the Sergeant Michael Chesna flag, which has been traveling from town to town since his tragic death in Weymouth while on duty a couple of years ago. That hit a certain place in my heart as well, as because Michael grew up in my street. The town I grew up in, Weymouth, I've known Michael since he was born, so that started our day off today. And then the chief and I, we shot up to State Police Headquarters up in Framingham, and there was a big press conference. You'll see on all the big news outlets were there. One of our detectives, Ryan Kramer, who's done a phenomenal job, himself, a Brockton detective, they're a part of Massachusetts State Police SINRED. It's a group focused on the opioid issues. We're fortunate, out of that group, they have 2 municipal departments in addition to the federal agencies that assist on it. But we were fortunate enough, based on our being proactive with the opiate crisis, et cetera, when they started the SINRED, East Bridgewater and Brockton for the SINRED South were asked to assign a detective to it, so we're fortunate for that. Through their diligent work last week, they had a couple big cases that finally came down, and they secured 6.5 kilos of fentanyl off the streets from the bad guys. That's $1.4 million worth of fentanyl that came off the streets, and as you know, one little speck of fentanyl can take somebody's life away. So to take 6.5 kilos of fentanyl off the streets through a collaborative effort from the state, federal, and local was a big thing. So we started our day off with dedicating the flag, went up to headquarters, and the chief got to, be on Channel 5-4 and all those good stations, and how better to end it today by him and I, who've come up through the ranks together to get sworn in out at the 9/11 Memorial. As the chief stated, I've come up through the ranks with him and our prior chief, Scott Allen, and I've learned a great deal from him and Scott and prior chiefs and prior officers, and also the network of officers that I've met collectively from being in this position over the years, the experience and the network that, the chief and I have built that we can tap into for advice and leadership is beyond, explanation. So I'm fortunate to be in this position. I love this town. I brought my children up in this town. I was very involved in all the community sports and everything. And like I said, my wife and I came down here in '94. We built our home, and this is where we wanted it to be our community. I've been here ever since, and I love this town. I love giving back to this town, and I'm fortunate and blessed to be in the position I'm in right now. And I just want to thank everybody. I want to thank the town.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Where was the drug bust?
Chief.
It was a collaborative effort through Methuen, Fall River, the south area, but a lot of it, the intel work was done through our guys down in this particular area, which led to a statewide. And there's more to follow on that as well, but just taking, I got goosebumps over it, just taking the amount of fentanyl off the streets last week that they took off is gonna save numerous lives, so.
Congratulations.
It was a great collaborative effort by all.
Excellent. Thank you for updating us on that, and thanks for coming in to sign your contract. Anything to add?
Congratulations, Mike, and well-deserved. You know, beyond your work as a police officer, you and Stacy have done an amazing job with three boys that have kind of taken your reins and helped out in the community and done a lot of things here for the town as well. And like I said, I told Paul the same thing when he sat at that table a few weeks ago. I couldn't be prouder of being part of this and being part of both of you two coming in and taking over. It's a good day for East Bridgewater for sure.
Much appreciated, thank you.
It's a great team, great group of officers. I've known you for 20 years or so, and it's just great to see, you know, the people that grow in those positions and finally achieve, you know, goals that they were looking for when they first came in as a patrolman. And we appreciate everything you people do.
Much appreciated, thank you.
Very much. My colleagues have said it well.
Thank you.
So, congratulations.
Thank you
Look
all.
forward to
Thank you.
working with you more.
Much appreciated.
Sign away.
Sign away.
Yep.
All right.
It's not quite as many signatures as buying a house,
Right.
but it's close.
Right.
We saved that for the town meeting
I
warrant.
have the helpful tabs to tell me where to sign, that's
Yes,
all I need.
Rebecca
My wife
is-
has those at home too, so. that's
We know who does all the heavy lifting.
And 3 boys and a diligent wife that do.
I always feel like we need like a musical interlude at this moment in the meeting.
I believe the
Fill the
chairman is
silence.
supposed to be singing at this time.
Yo, you don't want the chairman
That's okay.
to
Would make him sign faster.
do, that would.
Sign just like my doctor.
Expect your payments on the first of every month.
I'll have them sign later and I'll get you a copy. Thanks.
Thank you so much, appreciate it. Can I give this one? Can I give this one? Thank you so much.
Is it Friday?
Thank you.
My hand. Congratulations, Mike.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Thank you all very much.
All right.
Can't go far without those.
I'm the same way.
All right, moving on, we have our continued public hearing on the poll hearing. Now, remind me, do we have to read this out loud again?
Yeah.
Right?
No?
Continuation.
Okay.
Thank you.
So someone's here from National Grid again, and then neighbors, right? Great. Can I have some of that? Not that I don't trust Mike. All right, so this is a continued hearing because we were looking for pictures of what it was gonna look like to address some of the concerns that the neighbors had.
Right, just quick brief again, my name's Simon Young, one of the engineers, repping for Saida, the engineer that's in charge of the project, and she's been informed to send over the pictures of the capacitor bank that is typical of this pole that we are installing, and we're gonna install that cap bank right on that pole.
Okay, I apologize, may I?
No, go ahead, please.
Okay, today I talked to Wendy at your office and asked her why they had to locate the pole at that particular location and why it couldn't be located further down the line, closer maybe to the racetrack or in a commercially zoned area. She was going to get back to me. I have not heard back from her. I also left a message on her voicemail. Do you have an answer to that? Did she relay that information to you?
Wendy's are like real estate rep
Yes.
that kind of handles more of like paperwork for basically easements with
Right.
dealing with the town. And Saida handles more with dealing with the abutters
Right.
and designing whether or not they would do further down the racetrack. And I'm not familiar with this feeder, so I'm sure she chose this location probably due to her design.
Okay, well, I did explain to Wendy and to Mary that this was an issue with the abutters and that it was supposed to be presented this evening. So obviously, your office isn't communicating the kind of information that we need to present before this board.
Saida was informed to kind of talk to the abutters, so like kind of find a like an equal kind of the agreement on installing a pole and that, and I think she told me that we had to go ahead with this petition. Otherwise, I would.
Well, we met with the abutters today, and that's not the impression that I received. And we have the abutters here this evening, so I'm sure when you're done testifying, they'll be making their comment. And I don't believe that that's going to be consistent. Am I incorrect, John? Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay, so we don't have any answers on why this location was specifically picked, is that correct?
I do not have the answer to that.
And we have sent the request off to 2 different people from
Yes.
National Grid. Okay, asking them why, can we talk about, can it be changed, can it be moved somewhere else? It may be easy access, it may be this, it may be that, but that would be a guess on all our parts that were up there today. I'm not too sure at this stage if we should talk anything more about going forward. We did get something from our town council today saying the Massachusetts General Law, Section 166, Chapter 166, Section 22, it's permissive for the Board of Selectmen to allow it that they don't have to allow a pole at that location if they feel the abutters' concerns outweigh the needs to have a pole there. They can deny the pole or tell National Grid that they need to address the abutters' concerns, propose it at another location. As of right now, we don't have answers to any of the questions the abutters put forth. At that time, we can listen to the abutters. It's the same thing that they'll be asking exactly the same questions that we've asked, that we have not received answers to. And at that time, I would like to make a motion that we deny the location of putting that pole there at this time until we get answers to our questions, and we can continue this until another time, until we have specific answers.
And the message back to National Grid is they haven't addressed the abutters' concerns. And the abutters are here this evening, and I'm sure that, if I'm not mistaken, I'll let them speak for themselves, but I don't believe that they've talked to NGRID about this. So I would have to tell you that their concerns have not been addressed.
No, I agree with everyone's concerns. Me personally, if I was handling this, I would set sort of agreement before even having a petition about it. There was no agreement.
Right, so.
Motion made, yeah, I'll second the motion.
Second them, all right, so we have a motion and a second, so we can have further discussion. And, yeah, I mean,
We know it's not your fault.
right, we know it's not your fault, and that you're just sent here with the information that you have, so we understand that. Since you're here, I mean, we're ready to deny this, but if you want a moment to speak about it, you know,
Well,
on
yeah,
record, that's,
I'd like to speak, because then it'll be on record.
that's fine.
Okay.
Did you have anything else you need to say, or,
No.
okay, great.
So, do you want me to sit there?
Yeah, you can do that, so that the mic, so you can be on mic.
My name is John Irvine. I live at 82 Tardy Terrace. Addressing the engineer speaking to the abutters, when I first got this, the first paperwork that came in the mail for the first meeting on it, I actually reached out. I mean, she's got a Saida Alpha Care, so I went out to the National Grid, called, and it said put their last initials in, and next thing you know, it gave me her extension. So it put me right to her phone, and I called her and I said, you know, what's going on, what is it? She said, well, it's a support, and, you know, we're just trying to add an extra support, and I was like, okay, but obviously that's not what it is from the pictures. But she said, and I know it's hearsay, because she said it, and I was only there, but she did say, well, if it's a problem, we can actually probably look into other locations. So, I mean, that's kind of, I wanted that to be known, but
Okay.
she could always turn around and say, I never said that. So, and I know that, but, I mean, I have nothing to gain, well, actually, hopefully I have something to gain where it's not even near there, but I was in touch with Brian. I mean, I have other pictures from, like, the racetrack area, and, I mean, that's just a paved road, and it's easy access, and I don't understand, I mean, they could put it there, and no problems.
Right, right. Well, I won't pretend to understand how electrical engineering works and where
Yeah.
poles should and shouldn't, go.
I mean,
But
I know what it,
certainly, our responsibility is to you as abutters, to protect your property as much as we have the ability to do
Yeah.
that, so.
when I got this from Brian, I looked at, I was like, because I know exactly what they are. They're resistors, they're transformers, and there's, fusing at the top. And I was like, that's not supports. I mean, there's a lot, and it's definitely an eyesore. I mean, because I actually found one right down the street, by, the little mini mall by Land Electronics, and right on
Oh,
Route 18.
yep.
And right across, on that line, there is one existing, but, if they wanna add more, I guess they could add more, I just don't, but I know what they do. I mean, it's just to hold the charge, to continue the charge, so they don't lose any drops.
Okay.
But,
And it was for support, and it's actually a shorter distance, right?
yeah, I mean, and then I went out and I measured from where the pole is on my property that's in the easement. I thought, well, maybe it's just from, they wanna go with like a shorter route. So I measured it, and from one pole to the pole that they're going, and then back 30 feet, it's 196 and a half. Well, to the other pole, it's actually further. It's almost 210. So I'm like, if you're actually looking for a support, you'd want to go the other way, not so much closer to where I am. But
Right.
I don't know, I'm just looking for all the avenues
Right.
as far as trying to get all the information for everyone, so we're all on the same page, but that's it. That's
Okay.
all I have to say.
No, thank you,
Thank
thank
you.
you for coming in. Did anybody else?
Thank you.
No,
You guys good? The neighborhood spokesman? Okay.
Well, it mainly.
You did a fine job, I may add.
It's right there
Right,
on my property.
right, yeah, no.
And I know it's an easement. I mean, when I bought the property, my biggest thing was, I wanted to I called National Grid and I said, I'm looking at this property, and we've been over there 25 years, I think, maybe more. And I says, what's the voltage? And when they told me it was just 13.8, I was like, that's fine, because that's everywhere in the town. And it just steps down off the transformers, and then, it's to the residential areas, 122.08 or 240 volt, depending on what it is. So when I heard that, I was like, okay, that's fine. As long as it's not, the high voltage, which, 550 and above, I was like, that's fine, and I don't mind living there.
Right,
But
okay.
that's it.
All right, thank you. Is there any further discussion?
No,
I think it's pretty clear.
Brian, you good?
Good, thank you.
All right,
I think the proper procedure here is we have to make a motion to close the public hearing.
Have to do the vote, then close
we have to vote on your motion first, so there's, if
Can I
there's,
say one more thing?
of course.
I just want to thank Brian and Dave for coming out today. I don't know the other gentleman, but that was really appreciated, because at least you can see what was gonna happen.
Right.
When you're sitting behind a desk and you
Hard
just
to look
get
at a map.
papers handed to you, it's tough. So, but
I agree.
thank you.
Good, well, I'm glad you guys were able to do that and get up there and see it, so. All right, if there's no further discussion, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, it's unanimous, so back to the drawing board.
Thank you.
And now, do you need a
Motion to
motion?
close the public hearing.
Did you make the motion?
He did it.
Okay, second that.
Any discussion?
Sure.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, all right, there we go.
Open forum.
Yep. Is there anybody here for open forum? No, you're on the agenda,
I
Bob.
wasn't sure what,
Yep.
I saw the agenda, but I didn't see it broken
Yep.
down.
All right, if there's no one here for open forum, I will close open forum, and we will go into our action items.
Okay. Action items. First down, approve minutes of the August 10th, 2020, 6:30 PM Board of Selectmen's meeting.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
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 May I, can we move 7 up while we've got Bob here?
Absolutely.
Okay, 7. This one didn't have 7, that's why I said.
Oh, you
Oh, I
don't have
gave it to you.
the
Yeah.
updated one?
Yeah.
Okay. Approve job description and authorize hiring of part-time assistant to the ZBA.
Good afternoon. For the record, I'm Bob Looney. I'm the chairman of the zoning board and been a member for 25 years, because nobody else wanted, I don't think. But, so, as you know, Dot retired from the planning and building department after 38 years. But she's also was, as long as I've been on the zoning board, she's been the zoning board administrative assistant, for lack of better terms. And the reason it's necessary, so we were looking to either keep her or somebody. The reason necessary is because we don't have anybody as an administrative assistant doing minutes of our meetings, typing the minutes, recording the minutes. And the importance of that is that they're time sensitive. So the job description, I've reviewed the job description and approved it when it was presented. It covers everything they do. They deal with the newspapers. They deal with setting up the meetings. They deal with public. Now, it's a part-time, limited hour job. I can't say what she spent compared to her other job. Other towns, I actually checked with other towns. Rockland uses a part-time person. For some reason, they used to use the zoning board chairman's girlfriend, but it was, hey, whatever, I worked.
Wait, you said it was Rockland?
Yeah, Rockland. Abington uses
That wouldn't work
I'm
for
not
you,
gonna,
Bob?
no, but she was there for a long time, and Abington uses somebody from the selectmen's office. They use a part-time, they give additional hours to the selectmen's office. So it worked great for the
Don't ask.
25 years I was here. And the sort of the urgency is that we have a pending application now, and we may or may not have time to get, because if we don't act within a certain time frame, it's almost like a pocket allowance. It's sort of, now I think this person's willing to wait, because I did get some email that went between somebody from the planning board, Ellen, I think, and the applicant. I haven't responded, I don't know if it looked for a response from me. So the job is, again, I can't say how many hours, but it's not a full-time job, and it's not, I know there might be a hiring freeze, but it's not filling a new position. We've always had it. But because she retired, and I actually did see one of the responses from the planning, I don't know what to do with this, because again, Dot's been doing it for as long as I've been on the board. So that's why it's before you tonight, to see if we can get that and fill it with her or somebody. And I think that's, it's a necessity. Like, unlike other departments, we don't have an office.
Right.
We don't have, I think we do have a phone number, I guess, but they go through the planning board. But we have, 3 volunteer members as main members and 2 associate members. And they're all, town residents, and that's what we're comprised of right now. So Dot, the person who has that, kind of held us together. Let us know when meetings are. Took care of the publication, because they have to be done timely. Took care of getting the decisions from me or whoever else to review, so that we can, again, we have to file them timely, both with the town clerk's office, and, they have to be filed at the registry of deeds by the applicant, but we have to respond accordingly. If we don't, again, it's a blanket allowance.
Right.
So that's where we are.
Okay.
So in 25 years, we've never been without.
And I think, with open meeting law, the way it is, minutes and accurate, timely
Well,
minutes are
that's,
just so
well,
important.
we're just really, she
Especially for a
really has.
committee like this.
I won't say, like, over the years, we've kind of had the minutes, but they're put away, but I attended the open meeting discussion at town council, and after that, we've been really,
Yeah, it's,
adamant about every month we're getting those meetings, like you guys, got your meetings approved.
it's a lot, and it's not something you want to trust to a volunteer.
And the role of the board, as a board member, my role is similar to your role. We're actually a quasi-judicial board. We make decisions that actually have, legal bearing on, and I am an attorney, and I do my administrative stuff at my house if I have to, but it's something the board, that's my job. We're here volunteering, and look, I can't ask Karen Marshall to type up something. No, you know what I'm saying? So that's why it's important that we have someone, either Dot or someone like her, she's willing to, and I did talk to her, and I know she has to go through the process, and she'd like to stay on, but again, when she retired from the town, we have to go through this process.
Yep. All right, did you want to make a motion?
Any
about
questions?
that, and then we'll do discussion?
Yeah. So have we determined an allotted amount of time?
Yeah,
or-
The request that we worked out with
think it
was
says in
3 to 5 hours a week,
Right.
and the pay scale would be $22.86 an hour to $26.50 an hour,
All right.
depending upon experience, knowledge, et cetera, et cetera. We did work very hard to put this job
Yeah,
description
we've been doing
together.
it for a little while.
As following the, the discretion of the board about, having job descriptions as we go forward, and doing this, and not doing this, just to fill an empty position, because we have to fill a position when there is a specific need.
Correct.
And we clearly have identified a need, and, and I'm strongly supporting this request.
We had a discussion today with Roy Gardner and Patrick Franny about the entire planning, zoning, and so on and so forth. And I think that the consensus was that we definitely need this position. Originally, we'll sit right now and make it 5 hours a week, and then we're gonna turn around and look at the entire plan and building department and do a reorg there at a future date. But we have to get this one done right away. And I think we probably jumped the gun a little bit, because I think Dot's retired, but she's gonna come in at 11 o'clock tomorrow. Talk about it.
We sort of
See
moved
if we
quickly.
can work out the hours and.
I don't
and
know,
the
I
money.
might vote against this now, just.
You go
What do
for
you
it.
think?
Well, then you could be the designated person to come to our zoning
Tell her.
meeting.
I'll take the minutes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Another night, so yeah.
And you can't get paid twice, so don't worry about
That's
it.
all
That's
right,
all right.
only one
No
paycheck.
double dipping.
Let me make the motion first to approve the 5 hours for the ZBA assistant for a part-time position.
Second.
All right, any further discussion on that?
And the job description.
In the job description, which we haven't seen yet, but,
Yeah.
No,
it's
it's,
in the
it's
package.
it's
Oh, it's in
under
there? Okay.
appointment 7, although,
oh, number 7. okay.
action item
Actually
number
separate.
7.
And I appreciate you taking me out
I
of
went
order.
on your Friday update.
I won't walk by your house anymore.
This is the benefit
Lost
of
money
getting you
since you
by
stopped.
your late, is that all the updates are in there.
Okay.
Oh, the track's open again.
I know it.
The only thing I'd like to say is, since I'm obviously the new guy on the block here, I've been talking quite a bit about the zoning and planning and what needs to be done over there to make it work more efficiently. And I think this is a good step to at least get us to where we need to be. But going forward, as me and Brian have talked about numerous times, I think an overhaul and a plan and a direction is much needed in order to
Yeah, the
make sure
zoning
it
board's
runs.
kind of unique in that we're mandated by statute, chapter 48, so what we do, it actually has to follow certain guidelines. But I agree with you, I mean, like I said, I've been there 25 years, the longest on the board now. But, when I joined the board, the public guys have been there longer than me when they were still on the board.
Sure.
And so we do look for, but as well as I do, it's hard to get people to volunteer,
Yeah.
and sometimes take grief. I think we have, I know at least one tax person that's mad at me right now from a decision we made, but I think we make the right decisions. But it is what it is. I mean, like I said, I think we have some good guys on there now, and again, it's all guys. When I first joined, we did have a woman on it, but then when she left, nobody else. I mean, you guys appoint, but you can only do by who applies.
Right.
And you try to get, and we do have good members, but you're right. For 25 years, it's the same thing day in, day out, what we do.
Yeah. No, the second floor, as I keep calling it, is where we're going to see our best strides going forward,
Yeah.
between between the planning and zoning and Board of Health and conservation.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
And I think that to continue working as quickly as we can to figure out what's needed in those positions, not just the ones that are appointed, but really the
Oh, the
paid
whole overall.
positions,
I agree,
right?
I agree.
Is gonna be important for us to move further down the line. And I think not just myself and Brian, but I see Paula here as well. We've spoken in length about it as well. So, we support whatever you guys, or I support for sure, whatever you guys have planned. But, we want to definitely give you what you need in order to run it
This
efficiently.
is, I hate to say it, but at this point, this is essential right
Yes,
now.
absolutely.
David, anything to add?
No, again, just want to thank you and your board for all the volunteering and the commitment you've had for 25 years is incredible. And continue.
I look forward to it.
All right.
Thanks for coming in.
Hearing no further discussion, all in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, there you go.
Thank you I
Thank
appreciate it.
you,
Thanks
thanks
for
for
taking me
coming
early.
in and doing a good job of explaining that.
Yep, take care.
Tell Dottie we said hey. Tomorrow morning at 11.
Let's just free talk.
Just to talk.
Yeah.
Yeah, coffee, I'm sure. All right, back to our action items.
Next up, approve the request from Ian First of the Boy Scouts of America for the use of the town common for a Cub Scout joining day to welcome families into their premier K-5 Cub Scouting program. Event will be Saturday, September 12th, 2020, from 12 p.m. to 3 p.m.
Second,
Any discussion?
my only concern on that, again, is they have to be very much aware that it's still 50 people or less congregating on that day, and they will have to say some kind of precautions to make sure that that doesn't exceed, especially where they're bringing in families. They just have to be very careful about that.
Yep, they've been informed of that, I assume. All right. Hearing no further discussion, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay,
Approve the request from Jonathan Babcock for the use of the outside of Sachem Rock Farm to hold the Girl Scout Troop 70812 meetings every Tuesday from 4:30 to 6 p.m.
Second,
any discussion?
I know Mr. Babcock was involved last year. He had the troop inside, so
Yep, he
at some
contacted.
point in time, maybe we can get them inside, but not in the close distant future. Maybe they can use the back deck now.
Right, right.
I don't know how many children they
Yeah.
have.
Yeah, he contacted me about that and about this, and he's well aware of the restrictions that are in place, so. All right, hearing no further discussion, all in favor, please say aye.
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 Review and sign the agreement between the town of East Bridgewater and the Beaver Brook Beagle Club Incorporated.
Second,
Any discussion?
I also have got a copy of their insurance that they had dropped off.
conflict.
Perfect. This all stemmed from the insurance audit and the need to have proof of insurance for all of our facilities and use of our facilities. And in order to have insurance, they have to have a lease, and they haven't had one, as far as I can tell, forever.
Right.
So this is a requirement to sign. They sign it, Conservation signs it, and then it's enforceable, and then we can have the proper insurance and liability coverage.
Good.
Now, under the terms of that contract, it's just, under the lease agreement, we didn't have a termination date sitting there. I assume that's August 31st, 2023. Are we holding off on that? for a reason?
We have a question that we're still waiting for an answer on because of the
I just haven't filled it in. It'll be the 30th, I'm assuming.
30th of August.
Yeah. The day
But
before.
the question came
3
down
years
to
comes up.
whether we have to do automatic extensions based upon how the land was deeded to the town.
Mhm.
So it will end on the 30th as a piece of paper, but it may not end on the 30th, if that makes sense.
Okay. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, aye.
I have to abstain as the agent for them.
Very good.
Let's see, number 5, review and sign the OPEB trust agreement.
Second,
OPEB,
OPEB.
OPEB, other post-employment benefits. Any discussion?
not for me.
Do you have
Melissa
anything
is
to
with
say?
us this evening, but to make the long story short, we approved at town meeting the establishment of the OPEB trust with, and then joining the state's trust fund, but it requires trust documents to be exercised in the name of a fiduciary, which would be Melissa for the town. And the idea is moving it out of our current Bartholomew fund at about 2.36% return to a fund that's last year garnered over 9%. Who knows what it will do this year, but what is the line? Past performance is no guarantee of future results. But it will certainly do, in my opinion, better than the 2.36. any amount of money that we put into that and any amount of money that we get higher in interest actually amortizes our debt faster. So this is a better way to go as approved by town meeting, and it does make Melissa our fiduciary on that account. And that's what I need from you tonight.
Okay. Any further discussion?
Do you have, you good?
Pretty much. First step in moving to the state, we have to have this document signed.
All right, hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
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 Approved to extend the period to license dogs without issuing non-criminal violations until October 1st, 2020, due to the COVID-19 pandemic and state election.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye. Aye.
That's all I have.
Great, thank you, Peter. All right, Town Administrator Report, Mr. Noble, what's
Thank
going
you.
on?
Well, I'd like to tell you that Plymouth County has announced Phase 4 funding of the CARES Act, and it promised us another possibility of another $635,000, which is why I asked Chief Herron to come in this evening and talk about purchasing the ambulance. Next Tuesday, a week from tomorrow, I'm going to meet with every department head, and we're going to talk about our CARES Act funding, where we are to date, what plans they have for additional funding, and making sure that we don't leave any money on the table that we can possibly use for the betterment of the town and its response to COVID, particularly as we start schools. Schools service the greatest number of our residents and is the largest single department in our budget. We want to make sure that they have the assets that they need to open safely and to do their hybrid model. They've done a very good job so far, and we want to make sure that we're doing everything we can to provide the funding as necessary.
You just want to mention the date that we have to get this all accomplished?
Yes, the county is asking us to make a to make a preliminary report to them about the commitments of the funds, how much of our $1.9 million we'll use by the end of September. We need to make sure that we either have documentation or planning so we can reserve the funds, or purchase orders ready, lined up. We know that there's stuff in the pipeline right now that we haven't properly accounted for. We have 6 claims into the county right now, 2 of which have been paid, 4 of which have not. So consequently, we want to make sure that we know how much more we've got in the pipeline, and we want to make sure that, again, I don't want to leave any money on the table. So I want to thank Mr. Sheedy this evening to working through the issues with the reorganization in the Building and Planning Office. Having his guidance has been worthwhile. The land auction, changing subject rapidly, is scheduled for Wednesday on the Common. There is a package available on the website, both on Sullivan and Sullivan, the auctioneer's site, and on the town's website. There's also instructions to bidders. We are limited to 50 active bidders in relation to the state's guidelines, and I've asked for some help from DPW about gridding the common underneath a very large tent that the auctioneers have rented from Busy Bee, and consequently I think we'll be ready, rain or shine, for a proper auction. And I want to tell you the amount of effort that's been put in by the town staff on this, Paula and Melissa, Phyllis, and there's been an amazing amount of work to get this auction off the ground, and particularly in a COVID era. So I want to thank them, and I'm hoping and praying for a very successful auction. I mean, Paul has promised me $10 million, so.
Oh, nice.
Not settled for nothing less than half of that.
That's right. I told the Paula it was not a problem, that any money we didn't get from the auction, we were taking out of her, so.
There you go.
So we're ready to go on that. I think that one of the other issues we're gonna have to put on the agenda shortly is Fall Town Meeting. I'll have a memo to you this week about what we have left
Day after
over.
Thanksgiving, right?
I was thinking Thanksgiving morning.
8 to 10 should do it, for the 8 to 10 people that show up.
Yes. I have a commitment from Phyllis that free cash will be certified, or her side of the free cash certification will be completed by mid-September. That is excellent. I'm still deeply suspicious, as I've reported to you, about whether the state will live up to their promise about not affecting local aid all that much. And we still certainly want to make sure that we're very cautious, because I've fallen for this in the past, and in 2000 they promised the world and gave me half. So I'm concerned about that. Motor vehicle excise tax still looks like it's holding up pretty well, and car sales are still going very good. And the thing that amazed me in looking at the unemployment numbers, there were only 191 claims for unemployment as of July 31st in the entire town, which, considering that at one point we were at 18.5% unemployment, and now we're down to 2.1, that's incredible. So it sort of tells you that we are hopefully going to be in the V recovery instead of anything on the alphabet other than that. So the state is working very hard to get the meals tax implemented. I did speak to the administrator of that, and she is telling me she's about a month behind. That's not unexpected, considering the obstacles she's working with. And they are working to notify every restaurant that would be affected by the meals tax and any other organization to communicate directly with them. I think, to be honest with you, I may back them up a little bit. A letter from the town making sure that they pay attention when they get a notification from the state that this will go into effect. I'm waiting to hear back, find out exactly whether they're going to do November 1st or October 1st. But either so, it doesn't really matter in a grand scheme as soon as it gets in. Annually, pre-COVID, projected between 200 and 250,000. In the first year of operation of the meals tax, from whenever it applies, this fall to the end of the fiscal year, I'm still projecting somewhere in the neighborhood of $70,000 to $80,000. Not as much as I originally had hoped, but considering the circumstances, pretty darn good. So that's my update for you.
Great, thank you. Any questions for Brian? Brian, did you know that next week is your anniversary date?
The 9th of September,
here
ma'am.
a year.
Yes.
Yeah,
Here
he knows that he tells me every day.
I want to thank you, all of you, for
It's been a terrific
the
year.
trust reposed in me, and I do enjoy it very much.
I lost the lottery.
As he says to me every day, I'm having a ball. Every time I talk to him, I'm having a ball.
If we get him to work, would be great.
All right, Rebecca, announcements?
No announcements from me.
Nothing? Excellent. Okay, board discussions, we have the traffic calming policy. Just saying that we have it.
Second reading,
Second
if you're
reading.
accepting of it and you're happy with it, then you vote to approve it.
You want us to vote to approve it tonight?
Yes, please, if you wish.
Are you set
Yep.
with it? Did you just make a motion?
Did, motion to approve traffic calming policy.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, and then we also have the second reading on the financial policies. I know I've read those through at least 3 or 4 times
That's all?
at 3 in the morning when I can't sleep.
But that didn't help you?
Oh, it did. So, can I have a motion to accept the financial
I'll
policies?
make a motion, accept the financial policies.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Great. Good work, Brian. That's a lot to pull together.
Well, to be honest with you, the goal on the financial policies is to be ready for re-rating. Our credit rating doesn't reflect the quality of our statements, and we now have the audited statements. I now have the financial policies involved, and I'm going to submit them to Standard & Poor's and start the re-rating process. I think we should be coming up at minimum a point, if not 2.
Great.
So we'll see.
All right, is there anything else to bring before the board?
I can bring you up to speed a little bit on a couple meetings that me and Brian had last week. We met again with the chairman of the rec department as well as the secretary. And, I think we're moving in a very good fashion, so to speak. Hoping to get more information. They're gathering some information, as the letterhead had said, and we're hoping prior to next week or at the end of this week, we'll have that in order and give them the 30 days they need to start to take hold of that department and start to build it. And then we had another meeting, both outside. Had a meeting with the Arts Council, which was 2 of the 3 members stopped by just to discuss what their needs were. We are putting together a letter for, with the, what's the name of the group?
Public relations firm?
Yeah, the firm
Guilford.
that we have, Guilford, firm that we have in order to try to generate some more momentum for them. Big thing they need is bodies. You know, with only 3 members right now, they're lacking the help and the strength they need in order to move forward. So I think the letter that will be presented will be spread throughout the community, and we can get some people active in that as well, because I think that's another asset that we really need to see grow. But both the meetings were really good, and yeah, and they were happy to see us there. So
Good, thank you for the
Yeah.
update.
yep.
What have you been doing?
Hanging around.
Driving around town with Brian.
Just a reminder, tomorrow's
Election
primary day.
Yep.
And between the early voting and the mail-in, they've already exceeded 10%, which is very high for a primary vote, so I don't know how many people will be there tomorrow with the elaborate ballots we have, but get out and vote.
And it's still not too late to fill out the census. So,
Correct.
fill out your census. Do your civic duty, vote and census.
We need the federal and the town.
Volunteer to serve on the cultural council.
Yeah,
Those are
absolutely.
Marching orders for the town. Right, I will take a motion to adjourn.
I will make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Great, thank you. Have a good night,
Nice
everybody.
Labor Day.
Yeah, happy Labor Day, holiday weekend.
Yeah, this is, yeah, he's gonna sign once you
Hi,
get
Bill.
the agreement.